Welcome to another edition of Beer-Gineers Beer Reviews. And up next to review, I'm continuing my commitment to do more accessible, more widely available beers. This is Greene King's IPA India Pale Ale. And he's coming in at 3.4%. And this was gifted to me by my dad. Cheers, Dad, today. So I thought I would give it a review. Now, I have had this beer many years ago when I used to sort of enjoy more sort of real ale. Didn't really like it then, to be honest with you. But I remember at the time thinking, well, what's India Pale Ale? What's all that about? This beer is many years older than this current IPA sort of craze, of which I am a proponent. So what is an IPA? And forgive me, beer nerds who know all this, but the principle of an IPA is it goes back to the British Raj, so British colonial India, back in the sort of the 19th century, I think it was. So there was many sort of British over there, particularly in the armed forces, and they missed British beer, and it's very difficult to brew beer in India apparently because it's just too hot, so you can't brew it. So what did they do? They exported it, and back in the day it was by clipper ship. It took about 6 months, and they were finding that by the time it got to India, it had spoilt. So there was a problem with transportation. So the way around that was to make the beer stronger and more hoppy, because hops are a preservative. And Burton Burton-on-Trent breweries are particularly associated with this period of brewing. And this style apparently caught on. So a stronger, hoppier beer in order to make it last that sea voyage. So that's that. And the question is, I think, is this even... Now, the IPAs we're seeing today, we're seeing not just 6-7%, we're seeing 8, 9, triples can go as high as 10 or even 11, ridiculously heavily hopped. Yeah, so that's what, and this was picked up by in the US. So we've got the West Coast IPAs, East Coast, and more recently sort of mountain IPAs, which is a hybrid of the two. The question is, what is this? So Greene King are a macro brewery, basically, yeah. So it's mass market. Never really liked their beers, although I would say that Abbott Ale, if it's done right, if it's put on right, it's a cracking real ale. I've really enjoyed Abbott at certain pubs over the years. But anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about this and let's see what this is. So I believe you got it from some sort of supermarket. I think he said it was like 95p. And I question how can you sell any beer for 95p? So already I'm thinking, wow. Well, let's see if it's worth 95p or more. There's no real need. I mean, there's no real need to get any haze from the bottom. So it is a deep. It's a mid-brown, crystal clear. I'm guessing it's been filtered. Finger of slightly off-white head. Let's go for the nose, see what we get. Just getting malt off that, just like a faint maltiness. I'll say faint. It's definitely, there's definitely a aroma. And I'm just getting malt. I'm getting no hops, to be honest with you. That's it. Just malt. Let's dive in. Chin chin. Okay, so the body is light to thin. There is a hop bitterness to this. It hits you at first, so you get like a hop bitterness, almost like a a sharp lager sort of bitterness. Then that fades, and then the malt comes through. And pretty much that's it, yeah. It is carbonated, it's not ridiculously so. Okay. So it's never gonna, obviously it's not gonna stand up to the Hall of Fame. You know, my double dry hop, triple dry hops, IPAs, double IPAs, imperial stouts, that sort of thing. It's not in that market. It's not even trying to compete with those. This is, you know, a standard sort of pickup beer that you would have. So I suppose the place for this would be, 3.4, so it's sessionable. High quaffability, if you like that sort of thing. I personally don't go for, I used to like the sort of the malty sort of beers. I don't now really. But there is that sharpness, so there's hops in it. There's detectable bitterness. I reviewed, was it yesterday? One called Hopback. So it's got hops in the name, and it said it was highly hop with fuggles. I would say there's more hops in this than in that. I wouldn't buy it, but it's not terrible. And if this is going for 95p, then that is incredible value. I think it's unfair for me to sort of compare it to the sort of beers I'll go for. So I'm going to give it 2 ratings, one for value and one for what I think of a beer. So as a beer, it's not as bad as that one I tried yesterday. So as a beer, I'm going to give this a 4. There is at least a bit of little bit of bitterness to offset the maltiness. I'll give it that. So I wouldn't buy this. Basically, this wouldn't be something that I would pick up because for me, and it has to be 6 and above for me to rebuy it. But if we look at value, this is going for circa £1 a bottle. Then that is incredible. That's like a 9 out of 10 for value, and it's not. I'm taking into account the fact that it is drinkable. I'm not liking it, but I'm not hating it. So it's got to have a 9 out of 10 for value. So yeah, so I think overall, as a beer, this gets somewhere in the order of like 7 out of 10. I have given beers 7 out of 10 just as a beer, but it gets that rating just because of how cheap it is. I mean, £1 a bottle, I don't know how you can sell any beer that cheap in this day and age. But £1 it is. So yeah, if you like your strong hoppy IPAs and your really interesting beers, you're clearly not going to go for this. But most people aren't into that sort of thing. Most people just want something to drink with a pub lunch. They're not like beer nerds who are really interested in that. They just want something drinkable, something relatively nice to drink with a pub lunch, or to swill down a few pints when they're out with socialising. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers.